Today we're taking a look at upgrading one of the precons from Battle for Baldur's Gate. We're going to start with Draconic Dissent. First of all, because I'm an Izzet mage at heart, and second of all, because my wife and editor Cute Stuff is the Dragon Lady. If you want to know when those new Commander videos will post, be sure to click the subscribe button and ring the bell to be notified of all new videos coming out. With that out of the way, let's take a look at Elminster. Now, this series of videos will all be $50 upgrades, give or take, which means that you can pick up the precon at your local game store for $50, then spend another $50 on singles and have yourself a fun and interactive deck. I understand that not everyone has access to a local game store and has to rely on Amazon to order their sealed products. If that sounds like you, please use my affiliate link below. It really does help the channel. Now, before just tossing in upgrades willy-nilly, we need to take a look at the deck, figure out what it's trying to do, and then compare it to our checklist. This way, we can figure out what its weaknesses are and how we can work around them. To start, Draconic Dissent is very much a goad-centric deck. There are 19 cards that care about goading or can be used to goad your opponent's creatures. We also have quite a few cards dedicated to beating down our opponents, 14 to be exact. We have a couple of copy effects in Mocking Doppelganger and Artificer class, a bit of interaction and board wipes, a few pieces of card advantage, and a ton of mana ramp. Now, checklists are important because you can see where your deck is lacking. You're not going to have all the answers all the time, but you do want to be able to answer some of the threats, specifically threats that hurt you more than your opponents. My checklist consists of the following: 50 mana sources, usually split between 37 lands and 13 pieces of ramp, though this can vary based on the average mana value and a variety of other factors. 10 pieces of card advantage. These are cards that net you cards or allow you to dig for answers. This can mean tutors or consistent scry effects, but not cantrips that only draw you a single card. 8 to 10 pieces of spot removal. It doesn't just have to be spot removal, it can remove more than one threat but isn't really a board wipe. I also include counterspells in this category, but I don't believe in going for nothing but counterspells. 2 to 3 board wipes. Some decks you want more, some less, but with every deck you sometimes find yourself falling behind and need to hit the reset button. 2 pieces of graveyard hate. There are a lot of decks that rely on their graveyard and use it as a resource. Whether you're removing a couple of key cards, exiling all graveyards, or shuffling them back into your opponent's library, you want to have answers for those opponents. 1 sudden I win card. This is more of a flavor card than anything else. Yes, you can combo off and win the game with this card, but it's not always necessary. I will sometimes build decks with multiple sudden win cons, while others are more grindfests. It really depends on what kind of deck I'm building, but it's important to keep this slot in mind. Okay, so let's take a look at Draconic Dissent and compare it to our checklist. 53 mana sources, 38 lands, and 15 pieces of ramp. A little heavy, so we can probably make some cuts here. 7 pieces of card advantage. Could use some upgrades here. 4 board wipes, a little heavy. 25 pieces of interaction, but the lion's share of that is our goad effects, so we'll want to add more. No graveyard hate, no sudden I win cards. Okay, so the other thing I noticed that this deck was lacking, other than card draw or interaction outside of goad effects, was dragons. Our commander cares about dragons, and the precon only has 12, not counting the commander. I wanted to fix that and add at least a few more dragons. Also, one of the dragons doesn't really fit the theme of the deck, so replacing Sprite Dragon is Hunted Dragon, which also gives our opponents some creatures that we can goad. Artifice class is a great magic card, and I look forward to playing it in other decks down the road. However, we need more dragons, so we're replacing it with Utvara Hellkite. Hedron Archive is easily the worst mana rock in our deck, so it's getting replaced with Lathliss Dragon Queen. I was debating between Burnished Heart or Loot Dispute, but decided to give Loot Dispute a chance because at least it's on theme. Replacing Burnished Heart is Dragon Tempest. Finally, our last dragon-related card is Sarkhan Fireblood, who can be used to loot through our deck or ramp to our big scary dragons. To make room, we're cutting Temple of the False God. Now, we have a ton of goad effects and board wipes in the deck, but I'd like more interaction and better support card. So we're cutting Chain Reaction for Negate, Agitator Ant gets replaced with Arcane Denial. I think Mocking Doppelganger is a fun and interesting card, but I'm not sure it belongs in this deck, so we're going to swap it out for a Braid. Finally, Baloth Baratul Entertainer is a card that everyone is hyping up, and I think it would be fun to build a deck around him. But I'd want more Voltron effects with him to help him goad everything, so we're going to swap him out with Commit Memory, which gives us not only card draw, but graveyard hate. We're also replacing the Akroan War, card I'm not sold on in Commander, with Bedlam. This card makes all of our goad effects that much more effective, so you may be wondering why I'm removing so many. Honestly, I think the deck will run just fine with only 10 or 15 goad effects, not 19. It's not exactly a sudden I win card, but played at the right time in conjunction with something like Disrupticorum, and the game is basically over. Next up, I wanted to improve our card advantage package. So we're cutting Clancrafter, an interesting and powerful background to be sure, but it doesn't really work well in a deck with so few token generators. For Windfall. I really like Geode Rager, but I think it belongs in a deck that can consistently put multiple lands per turn on the battlefield, so it's getting replaced with Chartercourse. Finally, Aethergale is getting the axe for Kindred Discovery. So let's take a look at our improved deck list and compare it to our checklist. 50 mana sources split between 37 lands and 13 pieces of ramp, right on target. 10 pieces of card advantage, 2 pieces of spot removal, not counting our goad effects, 3 board wipes, 1 piece of graveyard hate, and 1 sudden I win card. So the deck checks all the boxes and is vastly improved over the original pre-constructed deck. I'm excited to pick this deck up and play with it, but being married to the Dragon Lady means she'll probably lay claim to it. Thanks for tuning in. Once again, a huge shout out to my editor Cute Stuff. I couldn't make these videos without her. If you'd like to hire her to edit your own videos, there's a link to her Fiverr page below. Please like and subscribe for more Commander content, or you can click here for more deck tech videos. I've also started a Patreon. You can go to patreon.com/Danon or click the link in the description below. Again, thanks for tuning in, and I'll see you all again next time on Commander by Danon.